The ideas and opinions expressed in the Black Shirt podcast are not necessarily the ideas and opinions of our sponsors.
Hey, what's up, guys? We're back. It's Clint Baker with another episode of the Black Shirt podcast. I am excited tonight. Tonight, I have Emmy Award-winning filmmaker Budro Partida in the house. So we're going to get him in here in a second. Before we get going, I'm going to need you to like, share, subscribe, click the notification bell. If you want to help us out, take a second to share this with your friends on social media. Click the notification bell so we can let you know about future videos and live streams, guys. You guys sharing this with your friends and telling people about this channel is what's helping us grow, and we appreciate it. So please, if you got a second, subscribe and tell your friends. This is a new thing I'm going to be doing called Versus, where I'm going to put two movies up against each other, and we're going to review them both. And if you only have time to watch one movie, which one would you pick? So the two movies we're doing tonight, Nobody, starring Bob Odenkirk, and the new Mortal Kombat movie. So let's get into it. I'm going to get Budro in here. Boom, boom, boom. Budro, what's up, man?
Hey, dude. How's it going, man?
Oh, dude, it's going great. I'm stoked to have you on tonight, man. I saw you did a post about Nobody on Facebook. You know, we're Facebook friends, and I was like, oh, I need to have him on to talk about that. And last time you were on, we discussed Mortal Kombat, so the time just lined up that we're going to do both. So let's talk about Nobody. Nobody was directed by
Ilya
Schuler, and it was written by Derek Kolstad. It stars Bob Odenkirk and Christopher Lloyd's in it, and holy smokes, man, it was a great movie. It's pretty much, this is a movie about a everyday guy that has a secret past and gets pushed to the limits and has to go back to his old ways. It's not the first time we've seen something like this. And the writer, Derek Kolstad, he was the writer of John Wick. So it makes sense that we'd see this. But this is a totally different dynamic. Without me going, I'm not here to give spoilers. If you haven't seen this, you need to see this movie. It's fantastic. Budro, what do you got to say about it? What did you think?
Well, I have to say that this was one of the funnest films I've seen in a long time. It's definitely one of my top 10 of the year so far. I think this is one of those, and I think the reason I really like it is because it's not necessarily your traditional action movie. It's more of a drama that just happens to have action in it. You know what I mean? And so it's kind of like you said, there's kind of this everyday guy. He's kind of has this kind of mysterious past. We don't really know anything too much about him. And it kind of slowly reveals of who he is. But I mean, it's the director is Russian, and he's known, his only previous feature is Hardcore Henry, which if anybody saw that, it was an entire feature that was shot with basically a GoPro, what everybody would call a GoPro.
This was,
and
it was like a first-person POV kind of
first-person perspective, So he really knows how to do action. But with Nobody, he was able to kind of really tell a story of this family man, what's going on with him, how is he changing, what's kind of like the downtrodden stuff that he's going through day to day. And then, by the way, he can actually kick ass a little bit. And so it's a great surprise flick. It's one of those kind of films that I don't think a lot of people either knew about or heard that it was coming out. Number one, coming out in the theater, because it did get pushed because of COVID. But number two, it's kind of one of those films where it's very easy to kind of slip through. And unless you kind of have like a viral following of people, talking about it word of mouth, then that's when people are going to say, hey, man, have you seen this movie called Nobody? It's really fucking awesome. It's got Bob Odenkirk. Yes, Bob Odenkirk. And so, and Bob Odenkirk, I mean, he kind of takes the whole action star, kind of trope to a whole different level that you would not expect of Bob Odenkirk, who's obviously an older guy. And yeah, Schwarzenegger, Stallone, yes, they're obviously older, but they're they've been doing the action thing for a long time. Bob has a background in improv comedy, stand-up comedy, stage comedy, so everybody is pretty familiar with him from Better Call Saul or Breaking Bad. I think that's probably one of his most known roles. Also, Mr. Show, the old sketch improv show. So doing an action film is just something that you were not expecting from Bob Odenkirk, but he pulls it off so well. His character is so awesomely violent and slick and just but shrewd and clever, so it was just great. It was great fun.
Dude, I loved it too. They did a really good job with the storytelling. You get a lot of movies that it's, okay, we got a bunch of shooting, or okay, we got a lot of fights, but they made you understand, they made you relate to this character. The way they were doing the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, forget the garbage, Monday, Tuesday. And I think all of us feel like that as we go through life, living our routines to where it's okay, same old thing. And then she has to tell her husband he forgot to throw out the trash again. And it just did a really good job of making life seem redundant. And because you saw the preview that there's something to this guy, but then so that makes you I don't know about you, but me, I'm daydreaming. I'm this guy must be doing this for his family. I know he's supposed to be a badass, but he must really love his family, and it must be about his kids. And I'm thinking all this, and then when the catalyst to this whole thing, when they get the burglars, and guys, this is a spoiler if you haven't seen this yet, and you don't, we're not going to dig into too many spoilers, but we're going to give some little points in the movie that are great. And so you get out of here now. If you don't want to hear this, then I suggest you go watch it right now, and then jump on YouTube and watch this stream in 2 hours after you're done. So the catalyst, he gets the burglar and he doesn't do anything about it, and even his son jumps on the guy, and then it really cracked me up because the cop is oh man, if that was my family, I'd have messed him up, and the neighbor and everybody, he's just got to swallow his pride and and then the neighbor too. Oh yeah. Oh, too bad they didn't come to my house. I was it was just sticking their finger in the wound. You know what I mean? It was really funny. Just building up, and that built for suspense. And when he finally, and I can't relate as a father, but because I'm not a father, but I thought it was really funny that the little girl's bracelet was the thing that made him snap. And I said, that's probably something only a dad could relate to, is that what? They took your bracelet? You know what I mean? Okay, I'll be right back. And then he just takes off, and then, okay, the gloves are off. This is it. And man, I can't count how many times I laughed out, LOL'd out, and I was in my bedroom by myself watching this movie on my giant TV, and I was cracking up.
It was, and something that I read about this film is that actually Bob Odenkirk himself came up with the idea for this film, because this somewhat in real life happened to him, that he had a burglar bust into his house and he held him off until the cops showed up. So he thought, well, what would happen if a regular guy like me, and a burglar showed up, and I was kind of forced into the situation where I kind of turned into this action star, So he kind of just wrote it down on paper of this would be kind of funny. And here we are 2 years later, and it's actually the movie is done, and it's a great flick. It's not necessarily, it's not a revenge film.
Yeah.
It's kind of a brooding from it's an expulsion film, basically, where basically the guy, he reveals himself to be something else that he does not appear to be. So it's very cleverly done. I just keep going back to how Bob is just so great at transcending the role of what your traditional action star is. And, because Bob Odenkirk kicks ass in this movie, and he's throwing punches and landing kicks and using lots of fucking guns, and it's just fun stuff. And his dad is portrayed by Christopher Lloyd.
Christopher Lloyd, you think at first that you think maybe he's old and nobody's home. You know what I mean? He's just barely there until push comes to shove. That was half of the reveal of the movie and excitement is getting to see Christopher Lloyd be a badass. You know what I mean? And the apple didn't fall too far from the tree. Super funny, man.
Yeah, and I guess I believe it would be his either. Now he does have a brother. Mm-hmm. Who, and I guess they don't really explain where it came from, but I have a feeling it's kind of in the backstory of, of his hidden secret past and where his brother comes from, because his brother is played by RZA from Wu-Tang. Yeah. So you don't get a lot of backstory for that, but when he comes into the picture and he's, part of Bob, or rather the Odenkirk family kind of thing, it's pretty cool how they incorporate another family member into this whole kind of action scenario that this nobody is now in. So, but I know that this is kind of overplayed. Guy Ritchie really did this a lot especially with Snatch and Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. But the European British gangster was something that he perfected. Yeah. Guy Ritchie did. And so what this director does is something that you don't see too very often is the Russian gangster. Yeah. And so the Russian gangster, and the director's Russian, so he brought in all these Russian actors to do this, and it just kind of plays well. And I don't know if maybe that's also kind of like, hey, there's a lot of U.S. tension with Russia right now. Yeah. And, maybe we'll just kind of use that to our advantage. But it was really smartly played out. The villain gives a great performance. I just thought he was like, you know what? He's ruthless and he's shrewd and he's violent. And you can see right away how crazy he is. I
saw a guy talking about this, and they were like, "Yeah, I don't know about the villain," and I don't think I don't know. I everybody's got their opinions. I like the villain, and I also think that this whole thing they built, it's a surreal kind of a universe that's going on. It almost reminds me of a bit. This might be an extreme example, but of Napoleon Dynamite, how Uncle Rico, is he's like a weird, relatable character. It's like a lot of these characters are like that. It's like an extreme normal dad, extreme version of a retired old guy, an extremely normal wife, extremely, brother-in-law is an extreme douchebag, all these things that are going on. And the crime boss I thought he was awesome. And right when they made him, they questioned his, how tough he was. Here's a scene. I'm not going to really give much away, but he breaks a martini glass and then just shows how badass he is. I was like, oh my God. So I really loved it. It was surreal, in a fun way, like transporter movies and stuff are. Yeah. But then it also had the ruthlessness of an action of a John Wick movie, but also just a very normal guy. I don't know. I can't. Kevin Spacey in American Beauty, in the beginning of the film, semi-defeated normal dad, But anyway, I loved it. So yeah, I give it an A+. I couldn't find anything wrong with the movie. I thought it was fantastic. What about you?
Yeah, I totally think it's great. I mean, I would kind of give it, maybe an 8 out of 10 or 8.5 out of 10. It's one of those like I said, if you don't seek it out, then it's very easy to miss. Luckily, there's a lot of viral talk about it right now. There's a lot of people talking about it online right now because they're trying to get you to go see it in the theater. But if you don't, you can still rent it at home. Mm-hmm. So do it while you can. Check out this movie, especially if you're big into 80s action movies. If you're big into any of those, I love all those silly, over the top action movies, but I also love kind of the newer style of, the John Wick films, in that kind of style, the transporter films, where it's very highly influenced by a lot of and we'll talk about this later with Mortal Kombat, but a lot of that Asian influence of fighting and stuff, where it's not just a big, huge, bulky guy that's very Schwarzenegger, like beating up people and giving one-liners. That's not what this was. It was kind of this guy that, he throws a couple punches, but he definitely takes a couple punches too. He's not just,
That's what's awesome about him. Just like if you saw the Daredevil series on Netflix, that guy gets the crap beat out of him and doesn't stop. It keeps coming back. That's what this guy does. And it's funny when people see him on paper, they just like leave the room. They're like, I'm done. I'm out of here. They don't want anything to do with it. The people that know and know what this guy is, they're out of there. And yeah, it's fantastic. The bad guy, after further thought, I think reminds me, he's about the level of campiness of like a character in like Boondock Saints. You know what I mean? It's just fun. He's a fun villain.
He's really over the top. He's really over the top. I mean, he exudes this huge sense of villain, like just it's permeating through the screen, and he looks like a villain, but he also kind of has a funny side, you know, and which kind of just adds to his craziness, so it's not necessarily like he's just straight up evil. He's a money guy, like most villains and gangsters are, but he has a very dark, violent side, and when he brings that side out of him, he does it very well. So, I mean, I believe, and what's the director's name again? Ilya Alusher, something like that.
Schuler.
Yeah, check out Nobody. If you get a chance to check out his previous film, Hardcore Henry. That it's a very different kind of style of shooting a film, just first person perspective. And so he's very imaginative, and he has a great sense of directing and a great sense of editing. So, if you like those high paced action films, Nobody is a great selection, not just because there's action in it, but also it's a great little kind of caper story, and it just kind of, it's a big reveal. And then there's a lot of gunplay. I mean, holy shit, there's a lot of bullets in it, but it's fun. It's a fun kind of caper. And I think, anybody that wants, if you're thinking about watching it, just do yourself a favor and watch it.
Go watch it. Don't mess around. This was a pleasant surprise is what I'm going to call it, because especially after a long spell without a lot of great releases, this was this movie shot under the radar. I had no idea, and I was pissed. After I watched it, I was mad that it was out for a month before I saw it. I got the same satisfaction when I went and saw in the theater. I went and saw Bourne Identity. I hadn't seen any previews, and I had no idea what I was walking into. And I was like, holy crap, this is great. I did the same thing when I saw The Way of the Gun. I didn't know what it was. I was just like, I like Benicio del Toro. I'll go check it out. And it blew my mind again. And this I almost wish I hadn't seen the preview before I watched this movie, because it completely caught me off guard. It was fun. So guys, go check that out. Go check out Nobody. And now let's talk about Mortal Kombat. All right. We're going to talk about Mortal Kombat. It's here, man. Mortal Kombat.
Nice.
Dum. All right. Mortal Kombat, man. I saw the old Mortal Kombat in the movie theater, sitting on the floor, and I got kicked out of the theater, and I woke up today only to discover that Mortal Kombat was inside my television. So I turned it on and saw it, and it was Mortal Kombat. What did you think? Also, interesting thing about this, Mortal Kombat was supposed to come out on April 16th on HBO Max. It got pushed back a week. I have a feeling, if you want to talk business and streaming services, who wants to talk about that boring stuff, but I'm going to do it anyway. I have a feeling they pushed it back a week because a lot of people have subscribed for the Snyder Cut of Justice League and Godzilla vs. King Kong. And why would you put 3 movies in one subscription period of 30 days when you could push it back a week and maybe get people that were about to cancel to sub for another month? So I have a feeling that's why it got pushed back a week, if anybody was wondering. Because if you Google all over the place, it says the release date was April 16th. All right, moving on. Man, what did you think about Mortal Kombat? What were your thoughts? Okay. I'm normally the super positive guy. People make fun of me like, oh, Clint liked it. I've got some pluses and a lot of minuses, and we'll talk about it.
Yeah, okay. So I also saw Mortal Kombat in the theater. I actually saw it twice. Last time I was on your show, we talked about how like I actually went and took a date to it, and afterwards, I loved it so much that I took my date's brother to go see it again. Because it was such a great film. I have a big, huge, soft spot for Mortal Kombat in 1995 in my heart because it's not that great of a film, but looking back, it was one of the first really good video game movies, because there's a shit ton of bad ones, let's be honest. There were not, this was really just kind of one of the really good ones. So amazing game. Obviously it's got a huge history, amazing game, amazing movie, fun movie, and amazing soundtrack, by the way. Like, I don't know, I actually was, I think I had one other friend that actually had the actual soundtrack, like on CD, where it had like Fear Factory and all the, I mean, it was great, So, and it also had that, that little Mortal Kombat kid yelling.
Mortal Kombat!
He was on there too. So it was a great film. I loved it. So I had a lot of high expectations for this film, and most of them were met. And now, what I didn't know was who was actually directing this film, and I believe his name is it Sean? Is it Sean? Sean McCoy? Simon McCoy.
Simon McCoy, yeah.
Simon McCoy.
What has he directed? What else has he directed?
I guess he's only done some shorts, really. So this is kind of his big, huge break.
I only saw one short when I looked him up. I was like, how does a guy get this giant movie, and you don't have anything under your belt? That was pretty interesting. But go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Well, this was produced by James Wan. Mm-hmm. And James Wan, obviously a huge, huge horror film director, but also it has done. He directed Aquaman. He also directed Fast and the Furious 7. So he's ventured out beyond horror. And I guess he just one day said, "I want to do a reboot of Mortal Kombat." And so that's who we got to do this film. So first off, I will say there are some great action sequences in this film. Some of the fighting some of the action scenes are really well shot. They're really well paced. They actually got some really good choreographers to kind of block these scenes, and they were really well done. So I will say that some of the performances by the actors, okay. I thought maybe, and this isn't too much of a spoiler, but I wasn't really happy with the casting selection of Shang Tsung, who, obviously is supposed to be the huge kind of emperor of Outland, right, that kind of who's trying to take over the Mortal Kombat tournament so that he can take over the Earth world. And man, they just got, who they got for that?
Who?
I don't know his name, but he played Lao in The Dark Knight. Do you remember that? He's the guy that was inside the TV that took all the gangsters' money, and the Joker said, the guy on TV. That guy. I'm like,
that was him.
Really? That was your choice for Shang Tsung? So, it was kind of okay. It had some really curious selections when it came to casting. I understand that they try to go with action stars. Now, I will say that the actors that played Sub-Zero and Scorpion, those guys were solid. I really liked their performances.
Oh, yeah.
You could tell that they knew their craft very well, and they just that's kind of the thing where a director, what he does is he works with the choreographer, he sets up the camera, and he kind of goes, well, show me what you guys can do. And they went at it, and they were great. Everybody else, yeah, they did okay. It wasn't too bad. My one main criticism was the character of Kano, who also served, he was a really interesting character, but he also served kind of as the comic relief, and he would throw out all these funny one-liners kind of thing here and there, sometimes funny, sometimes shit, whatever.
Yeah, they took him a little too far sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And then so I was just kind of like, it had its moments. It definitely had its fun moments. One thing I didn't really dig was that, and this isn't too much of a spoiler, but if you're into spoilers, go ahead and turn it off now. But I did kind of think it kind of felt to me kind of like a superhero film too much. It kind of strayed away from the video game aspect, and it kind of felt like very much like, I want to say, kind of like an Avengers film, where kind of like this big group is kind of big fighting this huge nemesis kind of deal, which it kind of turned out to be, but it kind of wasn't. So I don't know. Overall, I liked it. It was solid. I don't think I'm going to buy it, like when it comes out on disc kind of thing. I did really like Goro. I did really like the way he looked. I thought he actually looked really well. But I mean, come on, your main character is the lead is Cole.
My friend Edward Lauder, who's the host of a show called Small Screen that I was on earlier today, he was like, "Okay, but where was the combat?" And I go, "Yeah, it was way too much of bad storytelling." I'm gonna give you my spiel on this thing.
You go.
I thought that the beginning, the first 13 minutes, this is up till the part where they had the title that popped up, said Mortal Kombat. The first 13 minutes with Hanzo Hisashi's backstory that took place in the past. It looked like a dramatic movie. It was like really good. Yeah. The first 13 minutes were badass. And I said, wow, is this what we're getting? Like, this is great. And it turned from a like dramatic, action-packed fight movie to all of a sudden it flipped into like a super campy movie and I like the campy stuff. Like if I'm ready for that, like if I'm like, okay, this is what this is, but I got really excited. I was like, this is going to be an intense, like really good movie. And cool. They really like evoked some like emotion and got you invested a little bit. And his fight, he's a good actor. That guy who plays Hanzo, who plays Scorpion, he's a good actor, and like their fight scene was awesome and all that. And then it's like they changed directors. And then said, okay, let's get the guy that does Crank, get in here and and do this movie. And then it's also what I said earlier today too is it's like if they'd had 15 more minutes to put 15 more minutes of fighting. And I know that Warner Brothers is a fan of shorter movies because they can get more play times in the theater. Yeah, screenings in the theater. So I no doubt there's a bunch of cutting room floor. But if they'd had 15 more minutes of fighting to where you're like, okay, this is a crap story with bunch of badass fighting, you're like, cool. But it feels like they had like just a bunch of rushed storytelling. You could have given 15 minutes more to tell the story in a better way where it didn't feel rushed. They're just like, okay, yeah, this is years of research. This is going on. Okay, next thing. And they just like skipped over a whole bunch of stuff. Like you could have, it's like, they gave us like too much story. They could just assume everybody already knows because of the video game and just give us tons of action. Or if you're going to give us story, get in there and give us a real story with like, you know what I mean? And build the story. But so the way they did it, you got neither. You got a rushed story and then you got not enough fighting. And what they did have, and I'm not even going to blame the actors. I feel like the either this got edited down too much or it was I don't know if it would be the director or who would be responsible for this, but it got cut way down. It could have been the execs. I know they did a mandate on Justice League. It had, it turned out to be a 4-hour movie. They said it had to be 2 hours. You know what I mean? And that's why the Joss Whedon version was terrible. It wasn't on his fault. It's because he had to tell a 4-hour story in 2 hours. So I have a feeling maybe something like that happened to this movie. I don't know. I felt like the actors, they were likable characters. I liked them. I just wished they had a better script to work with, a better story to tell. The action was good, the fighting was good, and it was fun. I wish I had more of it, and that's like the good aspects that were in there. I wish I had a lot more of it, and I didn't. It was a lot of kind of half-assed storytelling, I felt. And again, the first 13 minutes were like fooled me. It was like, Oh, cool. This is going to be awesome. I was going to do some stuff, cancel my plans. I'm going to sit here and watch this movie. And about halfway through the movie, I started thinking about, hey, maybe I should run and throw some clothes in the dryer real quick or something, for real. And I'm the guy that all of my friends tell me, oh, Clint likes everything, you know what I mean? And so I said, man, this is really problematic. And by the time I got to that point, then more action started kicking in, but it was weird. It was weird. So that's my take on that.
I agree with you. I think it had so much more potential than when it actually was executed on the screen. I really, and like you, and I think both you and I both like, we're both big fans of samurai film and Japanese film and stuff like that. So those first couple minutes, man, of the story, the backstory of Sub-Zero and Scorpion, that was really compelling. I was just as vested as you. I was sitting there and I was like, oh, so that's what happened. And, that really explains a lot. And the tone of the film just changed right after that. And it just kind of shifted into another, hey, this is Sonya Blade. Yeah, I know the entire history of Mortal Kombat. It's right here on my wall. And like, what? What's this Mortal Kombat thing? Come
on, we got to get to the next scene. Come on, Yeah.
It was just kind of like, okay, well, yeah, I guess she explained the history of Mortal Kombat in 2 minutes. So, all right, cool. But I completely agree with you. The pacing was kind of weird. It could have been, if it hadn't just been extended just a little bit, it could have been really, I think, have benefited from additional fight scenes. I will say that the fight scenes, and like I said before, I do think the fight scenes were well done. There just could have been more of them. And I will say that, and I guess this might be kind of a spoiler, but it's no secret because it's in the trailer and in all the promos that obviously Scorpion fights Sub-Zero at some point in the film. That was a cool fight. I will say that was a cool fight. I really liked the way that was choreographed and shot, and I thought that was kind of cool. Both
times. It was just at the beginning and at the end of the movie. Both times were awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't really think that. Okay, now the thing is, I don't play the game anymore. I play the originals. 1, 2, and 3. I have it here in my office. I don't know if you can see it or not. But
I'm going to move this foot. Look, I don't play the games anymore. Yeah, I don't play the games anymore. I just have it in my office.
But, I don't. Those are the only Mortal Kombat that I really play anymore. But I thought for some reason, because there's so many new chapters in the game universe of Mortal Kombat. I think it's up to Mortal Kombat 11 now. I don't play those anymore. So I thought that the lead character of, I guess, Cole, I thought, is this guy from the game or is he from one of the newer games? No, I read that they made him up just for the movie, which I thought kind of was like, okay, well, that's kind of out of nowhere. But, because in the original film, Liu Kang was the lead, and even in the sequel, Liu Kang was the lead. And here he's actually kind of a side character.
Yeah.
He helps to drive the story a little bit, but, I was kind of confused. And like, really, his name's Cole. And, Cole, okay. So, and also, not only that, and I don't know if you want to reveal this or not, but one certain character is definitely missing. One certain character from the main lineup.
That gets revealed. That gets revealed later at the end?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
There was people complaining. A spoiler alert, he's not in the movie, but they addressed Johnny Cage. And he's in the universe. He didn't get erased, and he gets mentioned. And I'm sure if they get a sequel, we'll see him in the future, hopefully. So
that's obviously the only reason I think that they could have that happen.
Yeah, and there was a lot of people on the internet that were upset about Johnny Cage not being in this movie. So
Dude.
Yeah. I mean, he's a favorite character.
He's in Mortal Kombat 1, the original. He's in all of the sequel games. Like, how can you not have him in the film? But yeah, I mean, overall, I mean, it's a solid flick. I know it's going to make lots of money. It's going to be very popular. I think, especially people our age, are definitely want to see it because of our fascination and our nostalgia for the game. Definitely, we saw the original in theaters and stuff like that. So our generation wants to check it out. We want to watch it to see what are they doing with it. I think the newer kids that are going into this kind of cold, they basically know it from the later games, and they're there for the fatalities. They're there for the gore, which, by the way, the kills and the gore is actually pretty well done.
They were very well done. Yeah.
As compared to the original 95 version, which had to be PG-13 so they could expand it to a bigger audience. But I will say that the gore, the kills, the cussing, there's a shitload of cussing in this movie, man. Like, especially from Kano, that dirty mouth. Yeah. I mean, my son woke up this morning, and he is 6.5 years old, and he woke up excited beyond belief, saying, Mortal Kombat comes out today. I can't wait to get home from school so we can watch it, Daddy. And I was like, I don't know if that's going to happen, dude. And after watching it, I'm like, yeah, he's not going to be watching.
When you turn 13, son,
we'll have a beer and watch it together.
That's funny, man. That's funny, man. When I was a kid, I went and saw Scarface in the theater with my parents. Basic Instinct I saw in the theater with my parents. I remember my mom like covering my eyes, which is hilarious. Oh yeah.
My dad used to be a huge Schwarzenegger fan. My dad loved Schwarzenegger, and I went with him to go watch Predator in the theater. And that was an amazing kind of bonding moment with my father. And I think I also saw Twins with him.
Oh yeah.
And I think, but I remember like as a kid renting Commando. He rented Commando so that we could watch it at home. I mean, he was a huge Schwarzenegger fan. So I was a big fan of all those. I'm a big fan of all those films now. So it's just interesting to see how, what we considered action, kind of these early 80s action films, how they've kind of changed into these kind of, and we were kind of mentioning this earlier, how they were kind of just big, brutish, have lots of guns. And now it's kind of, there's a lot of Kung Fu influence with lots of guns, how it's kind of changed now. But getting back to Mortal Kombat, I mean, I think it's going to be fun for the newer people that aren't familiar with the older games and the older movie. So it's going to make a lot of money. It's going to be really popular. Are a lot of people going to be happy with it? No, we'll see.
There'll be mixed reviews on this one. I liked the characters. I hope they do another one and keep these characters and do what they could have done with them because they were good characters. What's his name? Makad Brooks. He was Jimmy Olsen in Supergirl. He plays Jax. Oh. He's fantastic in this show. I actually know his brother. His brother lives here. His family lives here in Austin and stuff. And it's funny. He looks just like his brother. But yeah, he does. His brother looks like a smaller version of him, but not much though, just slightly smaller. But yeah. He was fantastic. He did a really good job. I thought all of them did a good job. I heard some complaints about was that you that was saying, I don't know about Sonya Blade, like she was a little rough around the edges. I didn't have a problem with her. I thought she did well.
No, I had a problem with Shang Tsung. I thought the casting of Shang Tsung was, I think they were just not, it didn't hit the mark. Shang Tsung's supposed to be this huge imposing kind of emperor. He's not the emperor, but like he has that kind of authority over all these, minions of Outworld. And this guy, man, Lau from Dark Knight, I kept going back to that. It's just like, he's just not doing it for me, man. He's not that scary.
Maybe it was because of COVID. Maybe they couldn't. The casting is availability. They're like, oh well, we can get this guy. Who knows?
Sure.
Yeah. Well, I say if you're this movie's not rocket science. It's not going to get any Academy Awards, but if you like fun action movies, check it out, guys. Let's I guess that'll wrap it up for this review on Mortal Kombat. And before we go, man, let's talk about what you got going on. And also like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you do that, guys. Woo! Okay, and so we've been working on I say we because I'm slightly involved. I'm in it, but you've been working on a documentary. For those who don't know, give a quick explanation about this documentary, and then I'll throw the picture up from the article that you were featured in today.
Yeah, so I've been directing. I'm directing a full-length feature documentary. It's called Bloody and Bruised: The Untold Story of the Back Room. It's a documentary about the iconic Austin heavy metal club that existed here in the 80s and 90s and through the 70s as well, and into the early 2000s. We just finished, and I say just as in a couple days ago, we just finished the final cut on our first official trailer for the film, and that will be dropping. And you're in it, Clint, by the way.
Woohoo! We'll get an air horn.
and that trailer, that full trailer will drop in less than a week. It'll drop on Thursday, April 29th, and it'll go online, and so everybody can check it out. And we're really excited about it. We have about another month or so of shooting interviews. We're going to be shooting some more stuff throughout the summer before going into post-production. Today, there was an article released about us on CBSAustin.com that was written by the one and only Metal Dave Glessner. Great article. Go check it out. It's on our Facebook page. Up right now, you can see a photo of it's a behind-the-scenes photo from one of our shoots with Wendy Wad, the one and only Wendy Wad, who was a bartender, but she was also a musician in the Skate Nigs here in Austin. So she gave a great story. She gave lots of great stories. People love Wendy. Anybody who went to the back room knows Wendy. She was there for a long time. And so yeah, the back room documentary is doing really great. So if you can, please go check it out. It is our website is facebook.com/bloody bruised backroom. So yeah, we're really excited. Check out the trailer. Comes out April 29th, which is this upcoming Thursday.
Yeah, facebook.com bloody bruised backroom. Is that right?
That's right.
All right, go check it out. I'll be sharing all of the stuff for the documentary. I'll be sharing all that. You can go to my Twitter. I'm Clint Riddlin at twitter.com, and you can hit me on Instagram. I'm all over the place. So yeah, it's a good times. Budro, thank you so much for coming on the show. I had a really good time. I always have a good time talking movies with you. I hope we can make this a regular thing, and I hope well, man, it's exciting because we went through a huge dry spell last year, and now all of these movies that they didn't want to lose money, that they held back, they're like, we can't do it with the theaters closed. They're all going to be just coming out. It's going to be all goodness for the next couple of years. So I'm really excited. So we will definitely do this again. There you have it, guys. The first Versus episode, I think we could pretty much agree that the winner of the two movies, if you only had time to see one movie and you had Mortal Kombat and Nobody, I think you should go check out Nobody. I'm pretty sure Budro would agree with me, and so check it out. Both movies are fun, but I really, really enjoyed Nobody. So there you have it, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Again, like, share, subscribe. We will see you guys soon, and see you guys later.